Hello and welcome back to Movie Health Community, the internet's #1 source of health warnings at the movies. As always, please keep in mind that nothing produced by Movie Health Community is medical advice, and nothing produced by Movie Health Community has been reviewed by medical professionals. Today we are talking about The Iron Claw, the new A24 movie by Sean Durkin about wrestling. Not the real wrestling, the WWF type wrestling, starring Zac Efron. Now, before we get started, let's ask the question that most of my audience comes here to ask, which is this movie safe for photosensitive audiences? The answer is a hesitant, very hesitant yes, or a pretty cautious no. It's somewhere right in the middle. The biggest offender on this movie, actually the only offender in this movie, is camera flashes. It takes place in the 70s, meaning that we don't see the double flash effect that we see in a lot of modern cameras, but every scene where there is a sanctioned fight with an audience present, there are very bright camera flashes that the flash takes up the entire screen. So that is definitely something to be wary of, and especially in one scene late in a film where a long teased antagonist is finally introduced in the wrestling ring, in the arena, that scene has some more frequent camera flashes. So for flashing lights, we have given The Iron Claw a 7 out of 10. Pretty heavy caution on that, just because of how harsh these flashes are. Now in terms of motion sickness, the camera is pretty much always moving in this movie. And in scenes with these sanctioned fights, there is a fair amount of shaking of the cameras. In a lot of scenes that take place in moving vehicles, the mounted camera does feel some of the turbulence of a rough road. And so that does come into play a little bit as well with motion sickness. I do have quite a few mental health trigger warnings to talk about with The Iron Claw. The main one is that this movie explores a lot of grief, especially around deaths by suicide. And there are scenes that build that up, so you know that we're about to experience that. And it is rather upsetting to deal with in this movie. We do see some actions leading up to these deaths by suicide, and we do see aftermaths. There is an extended close-up of a syringe piercing skin, and there's a part where we hear somebody vomiting with a rather graphic sound, and when we see this person, we see enough to know that there is blood in the contents. Now, is The Iron Claw any good? I would say yeah. I would say that it's really well made, despite the fact that there is quite a bit of camera shaking. It does a lot to make you feel really immersed in the period and the life that these people live. You almost feel like an extra member of the family with the way this movie is filmed, and I feel like that definitely deserves some praise. But this movie, and again, this is not a dig against it, this movie is supremely depressing. So if you're in the mood for a good depressing movie, this could be a really good one to watch. It is nice to see Zac Efron going into roles unlike any other roles he's ever played. It's nice to finally see this guy that's been suddenly popping up everywhere on my feed, Jeremy Allen White. He did great. Just as a side note, this man has the exact face and hair of Gene Wilder. Anyway, if you're in the mood for a really depressing movie, that's nothing against you. This is a good movie to watch if you're in the mood for that. I'm gonna give The Iron Claw an A- just because of how well it does with that sense of making you feel like you're in the middle of everything. Thank you so much to our followers on Tumblr and Facebook, and as always, an extra special thanks to our patrons over on our Patreon page, whose names are scrolling on the screen like credits right now. Be sure to like this video, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon if you want to be notified when we post new videos. Be sure to leave a comment below if you have anything to add to this discourse on the Iron Claw, especially if you disagree with anything we've said here. We love hearing from you. And as always, stay safe at the movies.